Okay, Mindy.
Yes.
I just wanted to remind you again, you need to prepare your classroom for 26 kiddos.
I got it. I'm ready.
Do we have that many registered?
She has 24
Whoa.
students right now, and we've offered some seats, and there's still more on the wait list.
That's like our best year ever.
I know. I won't know what to do with a full class.
And we won't have to put out sandwich boards saying we have open seats. Wow.
Nope. So Vanessa, I worked on the student government one. I didn't know if you, because I think I remember telling you I could get that done.
You did, but then I wasn't sure if you were going to, so then I was going to, but I was really stuck on finding anything good for it. So I looked at yours today and it looked very nice.
Okay. Yeah, it can be fine-tuned a little bit more. You know, we can take a look at it and see if we have some other categories that we want to add but I thought that I found a couple of examples from across the country, and I thought some of those were really things that teachers could use to explicitly teach the class or make it into a credit worthy type class. And then I do have some recommendations to share when everybody gets here about the foreign language. Mindy, are you going to be busy tomorrow?
Not if I can help it.
Why? What are you doing?
I have nothing planned for tomorrow. Why? What do you need?
Would you like to get up early?
What? No.
All right.
But I can.
Well,
No.
The district invited up AJ Craybill, who is the speaker that they were going to have, and I think that we still are going to come up and work with the board. He's been working with the ASD school board. They went to the National School Board something conference, and he was there, and they've contracted him, and he's been working with them on really kind of understanding the role of school boards and how they can effectively work with their superintendent to create an environment where a lot of work can get done. So he's going to be the keynote speaker tomorrow at the Leading and Learning Summit, Learning and Leadership Summit. AJ Craybill. And it's spelled Crabill. It looks like Crabill. So I figured if we had some board members who were interested in just maybe kind of previewing, I don't know what he's going to speak about. And then the superintendent is going to talk about board initiatives for this year. So I thought it would be nice if we had maybe an APB member or two that wanted to kind of listen in and see.
What time does it start? Go ahead and
So
rip the Band-Aid off.
if you would like breakfast, breakfast is from 7:30 to 8.
Oh, I'll go without breakfast.
The session starts at 8 and it ends at 11:30. So he's not going to be speaking the whole time. There'll be some, other things that are kind of going on. But I think Vanessa went with me, not last year, but the year before last, and stayed for the morning session. And it was
Did we
kind of
all go?
interesting.
I went and Missy went, I think.
Did Missy go
Last-
too?
Yeah, last year.
Well, remember we didn't the year
Oh
before
no,
last
so 2 years ago. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because COVID happened to us last year.
Correct. Yes, I remember because some other guy who works there, who she knows from like military stuff, she and I were in the middle of talking and he walked over, interrupted us, and only spoke to her and ignored me. And I was like, okay, that's professional and nice. Thank you.
Oh.
Where is it, at the school district office?
It is at Bartlett High School.
Oh, good. That's not very far away. It's not
It's-
like
it's-
west.
5 more minutes of sleeping.
That makes a
Maybe
big
10.
difference.
Well, then you also get to, kind of experience all the other not superintendents, but the district leadership, kind of see what they're into, who people are, and
I sent this to everyone, right? Everybody knows about this meeting.
I know. I was
Yes.
starting to wonder the same thing because I was like, everybody said yes. I was like the last person saying yes on everything.
Yeah, I sent it to everybody. I guess I can text Paige and Amy at least. Those are the people's numbers I have.
I just was texting them.
Oh, okay. I will let you then.
And AO Jack. What's her first name? Paula.
Paula.
So are you ready for Cohen and Riley to start back school?
Oh, I answered, but I was on mute. Yes, I am. But they are not. Oh,
They're
although
not?
I'm not ready to make them get up in the morning and get ready, and I'm not ready to pack lunches for them.
Yeah, that
Wow.
lunch is.
But yes.
Katie got hired as the Eagle River Elementary Secretary. And she was telling me that this year their lunch program is actually lunch ladies making homemade food. It's not in little silver
wow.
trays. So she's so excited. She's like, I won't have to worry about
Wow.
packing a lunch. I can just eat at school. And I'm like, ugh.
I'm surprised that that's what they're doing.
That's what I'd like to do. Let's have us a little salad bar every day.
Well, we could do that on our own.
Oh, Amy,
Hi,
did you
Amy.
get my text message?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's what happens when we plan too far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited soccer was over. I was like, I don't have anything else this weekend.
I'm free. I'm free.
You
No, I
just
had to
thought
remind
you
myself a
were.
lot.
Hello, Chloe.
Anything from Paige?
I haven't heard anything yet. Nobody's responded back.
Well, should we go ahead and start with what we got?
Yes, let's get started.
All right. Do you have any updates for us from the district or state side? Or are we still at the same spot we were?
The district has been meeting, I believe, risk management. Deb Ingalls, because she does the legal for the district. Our new charter supervisor, Chris Barr, and one other person in the district. They're meeting with the new charter school / correspondence program person with the state. I think they're going to try to do a teleconference either tomorrow or Monday. And he said that he'd let me know. What they're really trying to do is not force us to amend as far as, totally change the wording and stuff in our charter, and just do kind of a little amendment paragraph that we wanted to add in what we originally thought and what the district thought was going to happen. So he will let me know the outcome of that meeting.
Okay. And why do they not want us to have to amend it?
I'm totally not sure. I don't know what the major hangup is with that, and then because they haven't actually had somebody go through that whole charter review again. I think that's sort of the thing, is that whole big process of having to
Gotcha.
do
They
that.
don't want us to have to do that.
Well, I don't want us to have to do that either.
Well,
so.
I don't want us to have to do that either. But I mean, updating the actual document wouldn't be that terrible. I mean, if they're going to approve it.
Yeah, and it might be nice if they gave us a full new 10 years after doing that, instead of, just.
I suppose that's true.
Right. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. And I totally can't remember what the other thing I asked you to remind me about
Let's see. I have some notes scribbled here. That'll help. Did they give you a specific date and time yet about
Nope,
the state?
not yet.
Okay. And then the other thing I had written was you were still trying to get in writing from HR that we don't have to have highly qualified, just middle school certified.
Yes, I'm still waiting for a response on that. Everybody's been busy trying to get the beginning of the year stuff going. So HR has a whole bunch of new people in different places, and they're going to give us the new organization chart tomorrow.
Wonderful.
So I can make sure I communicate with the right person to get that in writing.
Other than that, that's all I have written down. Unless it was anything about the lease or insurance, which don't really
Nope.
have to do with this.
The other, I just remembered what the other one is. I spoke with Brendan Locke about foreign languages.
Oh, yes, you did say that. Okay.
Right. So he highly recommends that we stick with Spanish, although the German and the French is still a possibility for us. He said that he really thinks that the district is going to phase out as teachers retire the German and the French, because it's really hard to find teachers,
Okay.
full-time teachers. And he said it would be hard for us to find part-time teachers in those two languages.
Mm,
It'd be a lot easier for us to find a part-time teacher in Spanish.
okay.
And he starts advertising a year out to try to fill those positions. So
Wow.
if the committee makes a recommendation and then the board approves it, you know, I can start sort of that hiring process as soon as we know from the state school board that it's a go. So just some food for thought.
All right. Then I guess let's go ahead to reviewing feedback on our drafts of standards.
So just a real quick question. There's one that's language arts 6 and then 7. Was 6 just misnamed?
Now, for the core subjects, I included my 6th grade report card just so you could see the flow from 6th to 7th to 8th.
And
Okay.
is the 6th grade ones what you use right now for 6th grade?
Yes,
Okay.
the 6th and the 7th. The 7th for language arts and math are what I use.
Okay.
Okay, because 6 and 7 for language arts are the exact same.
Yes, and so is 8th grade. There's no difference in the standards. It's just the material being used.
Okay.
How do we want to start? Do we want to go thing by thing, or just have each of the 4 of us share any feedback they had on anything?
I'm going to be straight up. I don't entirely still know what I'm looking for to give very relevant feedback.
Well, I think what we're looking for is we want to make sure that any of the content that we have has the high enough rigor and expectations for our kiddos based on, you know, where we expect them to be at coming out of 6th grade. And that, you know, that the scope and sequence flows fairly well. I mean, I can tell you, at least for the student government one, I based a lot of it off of the expectations from the National Council of Student Governments and what they look for in National Student or Councils of Excellence, and then standards from the state, social studies standards, and then also some expectations from just different districts around the country and what they do for their classes that are student government instead of just extracurricular clubs and things. So.
Well, I haven't had a chance to really, I mean, I glanced over the student government when you said you had shared it, but all the rest I've been able to look at and just tweak them so they all look the same. I have questions on social studies and science. If you look at 6th grade social studies, these are the standards that we use. They're very broad: geography and history, government. And then when you pull up 7th grade, I wasn't sure if we wanted just to leave it as geography and then world geography, or if we wanted to add in these different subsections, because those subsections are not added into either social studies or science with K through 6.
Mindy, would you like me to, I can spend some time working on the 7th and 8th grade social studies based on the National Council of Social Studies and try to get it paired, drill down a little bit more for each of those subsections.
You can. All of them seem to, this is 8th grade. All of them just seem to be like in 7th grade. Where was I? Come here, come here. All of these subcategories in world geography, they all do the same thing, but they just focus on a different continent. That's all it is.
Mm.
I mean, it's all, you know, like they look at the location, they look at the cultures and all of that. So I wasn't even sure if we really needed all those or if we could just say world geography and then geography as in maps and longitude, latitude.
Right. I mean, so you can do your basically your ICANN statements, right? Understands or is able to describe those sorts of things for the different concepts of geography in there for each of the continents.
Yes.
Yep.
And I mean, social studies for 8th grade is all just US history. I mean, they start from the very beginning and go up to expansion and reform.
Well, after this week, if I survive the Spalding class.
What? I'm already done.
Yeah, lucky you, but you've been doing it for 15 years.
Well, this is true.
I'm still trying to get proficient at things. I can work on getting a little bit more specific with because these are topics, they're not necessarily standards.
Or if you have, unless you're really dying to do it, I mean, if you have the national standards, you could send those to us to kind of.
Sure, I can spend some time digging those up and sending that over for somebody who wants to work on that.
Okay. And is that all we want to do with them, is make sure that they match like national or state, or do we also want to make sure it's lining up with what our books cover?
Yeah, we'll need to really flush those out, because whatever standards we have, we want to make sure that we have the curriculum to actually cover it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
I'm
but
pretty sure that we do.
I get what you're saying about students will be able to do this and do that. We got rid of all that students will be able to do this or that because parents weren't reading it and they were having a hard time. And that's where we went to, okay, these are the things I'm looking for in the number system for grade 6 in math. Do they know their GCF and their LCM? Can they divide fractions and mixed numbers? Can they add, subtract, multiply, divide decimals? Do they know what integers are? Can they add and subtract them? We got very short worded because parents weren't reading it and they didn't understand it. And I have a feeling if we go in and say, students will be able to do this and big long, once again, we're going to have a wordy report card and parents aren't going to read it.
Well, can it
Yeah,
kind of be like your language arts where it says like could we put, or I guess that's kind of how I did the whatever the ones I did was like, can demonstrate in blah blah blah, like if you do the same thing with all of them, and then we could list Alaska, North America, so that you don't say the long thing every time, you just have one long thing.
Yep.
Well, we can put that up at the very top with the social studies 7. We could move all of this down.
I'm watching my screen.
Okay.
Not your screen.
So we can move this all down and then say,
Yeah.
students will be able to do ... because all of them are the same in these areas.
Yeah.
We can do something like that, yes. But if we start doing it for everyone, then we're back to, I can't read this report card. It's too detailed, blah, blah, blah. Just a second. So I can go back through and do that with the social studies. I don't have a problem with that because when I looked through all of these 8 different areas, like I said, they were all the same. Science, again, our one is very basic. It's just physical science, life science, earth science, scientific method, and then just says what they're able to do under each one. And that's for 6th grade. And then for 7th grade, I took the standards that the school district has and I looked at the national science. And listed everything that they needed to be able to do within those various sections.
So should we do the same thing with these, is maybe add like a little header line of student will be able to whatever
Okay.
for each section. I think on our academic plan, I think it says some longer, no, maybe it didn't say longer stuff.
Well, I gotta go see if I can get this.
And then small other feedback I had on here was, should we keep the coding and robotics on here? I don't know if that's covered in the curriculum we're looking at, but we already cover coding and technology for K-6 and the 2 computer electives and our robotics elective. So I don't know if we want it on here or if we would want to put it on one of those.
My only concern is if people don't do the robotics class. If they don't take it as an elective, then they wouldn't have that exposure. And if it's in the 7th grade standards, then it should be taught. And I don't remember, we don't have coding in science. And there's very little coding I know of in technology right now, but I mean, that will change once we get a technology teacher.
Do you remember, I haven't seen the books yet. Do you remember if it's in any of those? Any of the books that we're looking at?
The only one that came in that one series was Earth Science. And so I'm not very sure.
Oh, it was only Earth Science? Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was all of them.
No, it just was the Earth Science unit.
Okay.
And when I was looking, 7th grade does more of life science and physical science, whereas 8th grade does the earth science and more with life science and a little bit with physical science and then space.
Yeah. And I think I did go through because I found all 3 of those books online. And it's just in the main section. I did line out which books those are all in, and I think I didn't put anything for robotics and coding, but I don't remember if that just wasn't in there or just a note that I wrote. Oh, no, it's because they spend like 6 weeks on it, and it says teacher facilitates online coding such as code.org, Code Academy, Khan Academy, SketchUp, Scratched, which was why I was like, well, do we need that in 7th? Because that is supposed to be part of our technology, and that is, Mr. Reitz did that coding stuff, and he just used an online thing. So I didn't want, if we already do, years of it and it builds on each other, do we need to repeat? These guys do it because they don't do it in anything else.
I guess I would have to look more at what it looks like, because it could be just like phonograms, each year it builds upon itself. And so you see phonograms in all of our levels to some degree. So I guess it would be just, what are we expecting them to do coding wise? But if it's the same coding that they're doing in 5th and 6th, then yes, there's no reason to repeat it in 7th and 8th.
Okay. And it's not on 8th. So it would just be 7th, I think.
That's 7th. Yes, it's just on 7th, I guess.
Okay.
And then I guess my only other thing was the beginning guitar one.
Oh yeah, how detailed do we want that?
Yes. Because when I looked at the academic plan, I wasn't sure, you know, is beginning guitar, I think some of these questions came up with Anne, was, you know, is it just a quarter? Is it a semester? Is it a whole year? Are we trying to do the whole year in a semester, or are we breaking it up and doing like quarter one and quarter two as, you know, beginning, and quarter three and quarter four as, you know, like beginning guitar part A, beginning guitar part B. I did notice that all of the quarters for beginning guitar had these notes, rhythms, chords, techniques and skills, terms and symbols, guitar patterns, music styles, all those parts that are graded. It's just that each quarter, what is expected builds upon itself. And I wasn't sure how much we wanted to put in the report card, because as Anne was finding out, it's going to be way too long.
Hers was very long.
Yes. So I know, Vanessa, the one you did,
Still long.
which was shorter, but it only goes through quarter one, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's all that Anne had done too, was quarter one. And then
Right.
she kind of stopped and was like, wait a minute.
Right. So the one you have, which gives, you know, a lot more detail, but you're going to be adding a lot more.
Mhm. Or you'd have to have a
Quarters.
separate one. Yeah.
Yes, or a different report card for each quarter, which is probably not a good thing. So then I was like, you know, why can't we do something like this? And, you know, when parents ask what's going on, you can pull out your
The
academic
academic plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and say, you know, in the first quarter, this is what we focused on. And the reason your child got a 3 is because they did, or a 2 is they weren't showing me proficient in all of the terms and symbols. And it was specifically these things. Because I know we do that for language arts. I'm going to switch to language arts. Go with me. You know, we're talking about informative, narrative, and narrative. I don't break it down into specifically, okay, it's just comprehension or identifying this or analyzing it. It's all together. I give them a final grade, but I can tell parents, okay, most of this is from identifying the components in the story. They're not able to identify theme or provide examples that support the theme. So I'm wondering if beginning guitar is going to look like that more than like this, I guess, more than with all those extra little
Things
bit.
broken out.
Yes.
Just to chime in here, it was an awful lot. That's why I kind of stopped.
Well, yes. Gosh, Anne, I saw what you did and I'm
Dan,
like,
any
oh my
thoughts?
gosh.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was just because I didn't understand music. So
Oh,
I
you're here.
was really confused. But then after I looked at it, like, I think it's better, especially coming from a parent that does not understand music, to kind of have it how you have it, Mindy. And then if there's a notes section or like underneath the comments, maybe then a teacher could write in or just be like, hey, if you have questions, you could tell them specifically whether at a 3 or at a 2. I mean, unless a parent really wanted to get into the nitty gritty, then I guess they could look at the report card that I made, but it's going to be like 5 pages long, if not 10. And be like, hey, yeah, they are missing whatever notes they're missing. But I kind of like it the way that you laid it out. It makes it much simpler, shorter, and neater and easier to figure out.
Well, thank you. And also, just to piggyback on that, I don't know how happy your guitar teacher would be having to fill out one of those report cards that long for every student either, and the record keeping that would go with it.
Well, I think we're talking about 2 different things, right? We need to write our standards. We also need to write a report card that's based off of standards. So the report card is one thing, and making it look simple and easy for parents to read and teachers to grade. But looking at a report card like this doesn't necessarily tell you what the standards are. It tells you the different sections that they're graded on, but not the specifics. So we're going to need both.
Okay, so you want, okay,
right?
that makes more
so,
sense to me.
Right. So we can have a section in our handbook or in our wherever we choose to put it that clearly enunciates the different things that they're doing with rhythm, with chords and things like that. And so that'll give the teacher an idea of what specifically they're supposed to be teaching, and what skills kids are supposed to be mastering. And then they can, in the sections on the report cards, just put in the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so then what I'm giving more is what I would want to see on a report card versus the academic plan.
And I think that's what we are all kind of trying to match too.
Right.
So I would have to go through and write all the academic plans for the subjects I did.
Because if you gave this to, I mean, if all we did was have this for a guitar teacher, it says, all right, kids can read notes, but what specifically are we expecting out of that? Those are the things that are in the academic plan, right? The academic plans that the district wrote is not a report card. It's a guide to teach the course.
Right.
Right. So we have 2 different things that we're kind of trying to build at the same time. But what we really need that's super time sensitive is getting what we want our report cards to look like to a district's project team so that they can start building that for us in time for us to have it ready to review in the spring and then just say, yes, this is good to go and have it go live in the summer for not this coming school year, but the next school year. So this is all really good work in making it look simple and clean for parents and teachers as far as report cards and grades go, but we still need that specific standards for what we're going to be teaching in the classroom.
I was looking at ours, and then I was looking at what the state standards are for 7th and 8th grade for English language arts. So what we want to put together is kind of like that, where it's saying like key ideas and details, and it says cite the textual evidence that most strongly supports an analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. Like that's the kind of things we want.
Yes.
Okay.
Those 2 things kind of go hand in hand. Because the academic plan that the teachers work from in the classroom is not the report card. It's just how to teach that content.
So where we got them, like the family consumer science we got from ASD, would we want to use that, which is what I made their report card off of, because there's not a lot to it? Or do we want to take that and even go more in depth with it, if it doesn't sound in depth? Or is that being an elective kind of like basic enough that we want to leave it up to the teacher? If we're saying they need to learn how to cook and read a recipe, do we want to tell them you have to make chocolate chip cookies?
No.
Or do we want to leave it up to them?
Right. I mean, I think we need just enough information on our report card, but not make it so bare that it looks like the rest of the district's report cards that say world geography, I got an A, B, C, or D, and F, right?
Okay.
Because I think what our parents want to know is what sort of makes up that grade,
Mhm.
right? A kid could have done, could have got a C, but really knocked it out of the park when it comes to understanding climate and location, but has no clue about how humans affect their environment.
And then, so I guess with like the science, we would want making more comprehensive standard / academic plan. We would want to say like maybe have so many experiments or something like that we want them to be doing.
Mindy, in the science, do we have a process grade in there?
As in like the scientific process?
Right.
Yeah, it's under nature of science. That's what they're classifying it as. Now with the science standards, they go over safety and scientific method.
Oh, okay. There we go. Because you use all of those, the scientific method to learn all of those, do all of your experiments and learn about DNA, learn about fossils and things like that. So I think the science ones look just fine.
Okay, we would just want to add a little header of student will be able to whatever. Or does science have that? Hold on, let me look at it.
I don't think we need to do that for science and math, but
Okay.
it does help for English and social studies. Yeah.
Okay.
So I will leave science alone. Oh, that's my 6th grade science. And I'll leave math alone. And I will redo the social studies to match more of what the reading is based on what they're doing in those continents, especially for 7th grade.
Yeah. And here, Mindy, I'll put it in the chat box. This is the website for the National Council for Geographic Education.
Okay.
And so they have, I think, 6 or 8 essential elements that they use, and then you can kind of break that down. It might help you a little bit in thinking about the 7th grade. And I don't know about the.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, I will bookmark this so I have it. Okay. Was there anything else somebody wanted to look at? Hi, Falcon.
Did you have any other feedback, Dean?
No, I just, social studies would be the area I think that we might want to work on a little bit better. I really like the math and our language arts right now. Although, Mindy, is there some way for us to distinguish between the texts that we're using for 7th grade and 8th grade?
As in which books?
Yeah, I mean, does the 7th grade have like a world literature flair, and 6th grade or 8th grade have an American lit flair to
I
it?
can look.
For social studies, you mean?
For language arts.
Oh, I think we just had like options, didn't we?
Yeah, I just, the novels that Spalding recommended for 6th grade, I took those and divided it into a year A and a year B. That way kids that level, they would do year A one year and year B the next. So they wouldn't be
Okay.
looking at the same novels.
Well, what I'd like for us to be able to do is say that that we're not missing anything sort of critical as far as a genre, not a genre, but a specific regional focus is
Okay,
so,
I see what you're saying.
so when our students get to high school, they would have had what would have been expected as far as, have they already reviewed, I don't know, British lit novels
Yes, I get what
versus,
you're saying. Okay, I will look more specifically into 7th and 8th grade. I just, I did the Spalding. I just did what Spalding recommended for 6th and 7th, but I can do that for 7th and 8th now, change it up to more meet what the district is doing in terms of what type of literature.
yeah, we wouldn't necessarily have to use the books they're using, but if there is that focus, we'd like to be able to maybe look at the Spalding list and choose those particular books to use.
Okay.
That way we can be really confident that we're setting our kids up to be super successful
Okay.
when they get to
Okay,
9th grade.
yeah.
And I think the only other note I had was about the family consumer science. Do you think anyone in the district, if you ask again, they gave you what they use for like family consumer science 8, but do you think anyone would give you the family consumer science 7? The 7 is the one where they do like budgeting and kind of like a finance part. And I think that's what we were kind of more interested in. So I didn't want to leave it off if that's something we're interested in, but also didn't know like what they do for that part.
Well, I can check with the middle school principals. I can ask them if anybody's actually teaching it, and then put me in contact with the teachers.
Okay. Or I can probably try Googling too, if everyone thinks that's something that's part we would want.
Oh, I think the budgeting and finance portion is equally as critical as the cooking and sewing and building stuff.
Okay, I think so too.
Or pain. Little boy.
Anyone else have any feedback on any of the subjects in there?
So what are we doing about guitar? Do we want to break it down more in the academic plan that's potentially going in a handbook and leave the report card like Mindy's, or do we want to do it? I like how you had it broken down, Vanessa, where it was a little more concise, and we just do like a different sheet for each quarter.
I mean, I don't have a problem with using Mindy's for the report card and, typing out something else if we need to type it out, or just look at it, because they have all that broken out too already, what we got from ASD. That way we don't have to have 4 or 2 to 4 separate report card sections for it. And then, like Mindy was saying, if a parent's like, well, why did they score so low on notes? Then you could pull out your other sheet and say, well, this is what they were missing.
Okay, I can do the document then if you guys want me to for beginning guitar or guitar A and B, however we want to classify it. Just let me know.
And are you thinking like what the district had with the academic plan then?
Yeah, I think that's what we were all working off of. We all seem to be working off the same thing. It just looked different.
Yes.
But I think like it would be good if a student's not doing well for the teacher to specifically go back to notes and be like, this is why you got a 2. It's because you're missing these notes. Doesn't necessarily need to be in spreadsheet form, I don't think, but maybe we could clean up that document and kind of use that document that we were all using.
As a beginning guitar teacher, I could totally see having something like what Vanessa has as a spreadsheet for all of my students per quarter. And so then I could just, tick off the things as they come to them and then transfer that on to the smaller one, overall, what would I give them in notes? So I do see how having it more detailed would be helpful to the teacher. But
Mhm.
again, I see this more as an academic plan than a report card. So I would be like, this would be good to be able to give a beginning guitar teacher and say, this is what we kind of want to see happen in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. And however you accomplish that, we'll leave up to you.
Yeah, and that format would be pretty easy to do too. And then we'll just label like that first sheet that Vanessa has there as quarter 1, and then make the next sheet quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4.
Deanne, does our academic plan, does it need to look exactly like the school district, or can it look more like this?
No, I mean, I think it can look however we need it to, as far as usefulness for the teacher, and then also usefulness for the district or your administrator or parents to actually see what's being taught, when it's being taught, and what the expectations are. So it can look different. And you also have to understand that each subject area, whether it's a fine arts or a technology or social studies or science or language arts, we can't make everything fit into the same type of boxes. So some of it's going to just be different.
If we're all okay with this one, then I like the way it's laid out. I can do Q2, Q3, and Q4.
And that's as an academic plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Vanessa, I took yours and then I just edited at the top to say, okay, this is Q1 and it's the academic plan. Here are the standards, and you've got them all listed out nicely. And then these are the assignments and the grades they got on each assignment. To then go over to the final report card. So it would not need, well, I guess it could at the very end still keep those one things. How did that not get in there? I'm just wondering if we still need the achievement and the effort, or I guess it just could be one grade. That way it would be easy to transfer over.
Okay, so then what we want to do for next steps is make more comprehensive standard / academic plans for what we are doing for language arts and the social studies, and then any other electives that don't really have one or that we want to take and put into our own kind of format for an academic plan.
So Mindy, do you think that it would be, we could just duplicate them, label one report card and label one the academic plan? And then we could look at it side by side. I mean, we just kind of need to make it pretty clear, like if you could make it all the academic plans in that light gray, and then maybe all the report cards in a light blue or something.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave the report cards gray because
Okay.
most of those are done. And I will change the academic blah, 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 blah.
To
Woogle.
purple?
Purple.
Okay.
Oh yeah, let me do purple. Oh, I'm gonna get you in there, purple. Don't worry.
Just go Control Y.
Is that,
And you-
will that do it?
Yep, do Control Y.
Control Y.
At the same time.
I did, and it didn't do anything. Uh-oh, I didn't get it over all the way. I just did that one. Oh, I learned something new today. I love it when I learn something new.
It's a good day when you learn something new.
It is.
So while Mindy's highlighting, I have a question about business education, going back to the coding thing. Because right now I've got introduction to coding, but if we've already addressed coding in technology K-6, should it be like intermediate coding or something else?
I think it would be good for our middle schoolers to kind of put the skills that they've learned in K-6 into practice and make it project based.
Okay, because in 8th grade, 7th is the one that doesn't have anything. So I was kind of cobbling it between like sort of bringing back a lot of what's done in computer technology. And then Vanessa sent me the standards for 6th. So I was kind of rolling some of that stuff in and just titling everything intermediate.
Mhm.
That would be
Yeah.
another one that would be helpful if you could ask middle school principals about to see if anyone's teaching, because that one, when we were looking at it, had kind of like career stuff and kind of like prep for that. So we weren't sure how much focus they
Seventh-
did on that versus the tech stuff.
Are you talking about 7th grade business?
Yeah.
Because it says emphasis is placed on career exploration and the development of personal traits such as promptness, work habits, and individual responsibility. And I didn't know how to work that in. So, I mean, there's digital citizenship and career preparedness, but a lot of that is pretty similar to the computer technology stuff that they do in 8th. So,
Okay, I'll ask for at least maybe a syllabus or something that'll help help us understand what they're teaching.
that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. And then coding in 8th is like its own, and it's got follow logical processes to solve problems and coding to solve problems. So I think 7th is supposed to be more of an introduction, but I think that's based on them not having an introduction prior to that, whereas our technology already addresses it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how to word it. Like, is it just intermediate coding exercises or just coding, problem solving with coding, or I don't know.
So you want the 7th and 8th grade, if we can get some?
Well, there is one for 8th grade. And so
Okay.
it's a little bit more detailed, and I kind of broke down a lot more what specifically they're doing under each. But to draft up 7, the business education 7, I looked at some stuff online and then kind of what the little blurb was talking about, and then just some of what I think is going to be useful in the future, and just cobbled it together. But it's not very, I don't know, it's not very unique, and I'm not entirely sure if somebody hasn't taught this before, if they'd know what these things mean.
Okay. I think it's really odd that their business class is so technology oriented.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering is if the one that they actually have isn't, because the description sounds a little more soft skills. It's kind of like learning about your strengths and like what characteristics and traits would make you more successful. But I don't know how to put that in here. So I was kind of just taking the same headers off of a more technical class that somebody else had.
Okay.
So I definitely think it's missing that piece.
Well, I meet with people tomorrow, so I'll see if I can put a bug in their ear, and then I'll email them also, just to let them know.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Anyone had any comments on? Or anything else we need to cover?
I just want to let you know that, like with the beginning guitar, I just put academic plan behind it. I probably should put Q1, and then SBRC, standards-based report card. That way we can distinguish between the two documents.
Yay.
Will that work?
I think that'll help.
Works for me.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else you think we need to work on, Deanne?
I don't know. I think this is a lot. I mean, once we get this, once we get this done, we can start, really taking a look at schedules, because the schedule is really going to determine what I can do as far as personnel is concerned. And what we advertise, and as far as the job description goes. But we have a little bit of time until we get the final go ahead from the district on that, or the state.
Do we want to set a next meeting?
Sure.
Into August. Okay. What kind of timeline do you think? I think we're looking at next Wednesday for an APB meeting.
Mm-hmm. The 12th is teachers' first day back. Students start on the 17th, or the 1st through 6th start on the 17th, and then kindergarten starts on the 20th.
What do we start? Everybody, what does everyone else start?
On the 17th.
The 17th. And then kindergarten is the 20th?
Yep.
So are we trying to get it done before any of those dates? After any of those dates?
If we can get the this part settled, then when the state school board does meet, if they do have questions about our curriculum and things like that, it'll be nice for us to have this to use. And of course, all of this would be
So do we
pending
wanna do-
APB's final approval. So
do we want to do we need APB approval before we present it to the state?
I think that this is
Or
just a
give
work
to
in
the-
progress, and we can tell them
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we don't need to rush like 7 meetings in 2 weeks.
Oh, no. Please don't do that.
Okay. Well, then for you guys who have teachers coming back and students coming back, what do you think is maybe like a deadline like we did with the last one, to have it loaded and then give us a week to look through it? What's a good date for you guys?
I can have the rest of the quarters for the guitar one in by next week, because I have to return back earlier than teachers. And to be totally honest, I want to be able to give it enough focus. So I'll probably do the rest of beginning guitar quarters this weekend, and they'll be done by Monday.
I may need a little bit more time because next week I start my Spalding in-person class in the morning.
Well, I'm
Yes, we
getting mine done
do.
before I start classes, Mindy. That's why.
I understand,
So
but I
no
only have
pressure.
I only have my grandson until Tuesday, and so I really
Well,
don't.
do you want to do like the week students come back or before they come back or the week after they come back?
Well, could we meet on, I hate to do this, but could we meet on Thursday, the 12th and make it pretty short?
I can do it, but
teachers. I mean, it
I'm-
is teachers' first day back, but it is the day that they're designated to be able to work in their classrooms.
Let me check.
Do we want to have that be like our deadline due day and then maybe give people the weekend to look it over? And well, I don't want to meet the day you guys have students back. So meet the 12th. What's that, 2 weeks?
I'm okay with meeting the 12th. Somebody just give me a text reminder because I'll probably space it that day.
I'm good at
But
that.
that doesn't give Mindy much more time.
I can try. I just have a nail appointment at 4:45 on the 12th, and I'm getting my nails done before school starts. So if you can work around that, great. And if not, I won't be there. Priorities, ladies. I gotta have nice looking nails for my students.
So if we met at 6, how long will it take you to get your nails done?
Usually it's like an hour and a half.
Oh,
Yeah, because I always like those really cute designs on them. That takes time.
What about the 11th, the Wednesday before that?
I just have a hair appointment at 10 a.m., so I'm good on that day. Getting all it done right before school starts.
I can do the 11th.
I can do the 11th too.
Okay, I can do the 11th. Anybody else?
Amy?
Oh, I'm fine with whatever.
What time are we thinking? Are we thinking 5 or 6?
I'm
I
fine with
request-
whichever, whatever works for you guys.
Can I request 5? I have a soccer board meeting at 6:30.
Absolutely.
All right. So Wednesday, August 11th, 5 o'clock. Good?
Yes.
All right. And then I think that's it for today.
All right. Thank you.
Hey.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.